It's now been closed for about 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for September 13th, 2022. Q's down 5.48%. SPY down 4.31. Big sell-off, big reversal in the pre-market after CPI numbers came out. And we more than triggered that daily sell setup that we were talking about. We really almost got to the target of where that sell setup would be expected to get to. So big sell-off. Now, as you recall, coming into today, you're neutral, waiting to see what does the volatility end up, where does it end up putting us? Okay, because we had an hourly trying to move up, we had a daily doing a sell setup at resistance, and then we had a weekly trying to produce a higher low. Okay, but although still in the context of a downtrend. So definitely some conflicting charts here, some conflicting time frames. But because we've been in a larger time frame downtrend, then we need to see more evidence that we can be bullish. And I said the only way that we can turn bullish is if we actually came in and then rallied back up over yesterday's high. That was really the only scenario. Every other scenario, okay, we're gonna resume the bearish bias. Okay, so neutral, waiting to see what happens when we trigger the sell setup, the bearish pattern, right? Once we trigger that, is it going to follow through, right? And wow, we gapped down and we really sold off. Okay, so what does that mean for tomorrow? Now, overall, the picture is bearish. Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to see. But for tomorrow, we have gotten a pretty decent sell-off into some support. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a small move up, a small gap up, and a bit of a pause tomorrow is what I'm expecting. We could get another gap down. If we get another gap down, that would be pretty bearish. But still more expecting some kind of either doji bar or narrow range bar. Okay, because very wide range bar today, especially if you include the gap size. So expectation is tomorrow a little bit more range bound, okay, but overall bias bearish. Okay, so we'll see kind of how this plays out, but pretty critical reaction today that we got. All right, let's get into the plays from today. So we did have that gap down. For my first play out of the gate here was the CPRX. CPRX, mentioned it as it was breaking out of this base here, had a pro gap up, okay, and then breaking right here over that. Triggered, was able to get some out as it got to the first target, okay, but the back half did fail. Okay, back half did stop out. So CPRX was definitely looking for more, but especially with the weakness in the market, came in. Now, I go over plays that work, don't work, halfway don't work, don't go anywhere to the end of the day. You know, whatever combination, whatever happens, right? And if you take enough trades, you're going to get every variation of follow through, okay? Now, on this, I don't really mind that the back half stopped out, right? You kind of just, you take the play and then you move on. I mean, I was on the mic, it was coming in. I even said it's not looking good, but there was really nothing I could do. You know, the stop's in the system. Stop was at 68, so actually that's where it stopped out, right here. So you can see if we go back here, that's where the base is. All right. So, okay, fine. Didn't work. The point is that the play doesn't work, or you let the play out, and then you can look for other plays. The last thing you want to do, right, is watch this play not to work, start to think to yourself, oh, maybe it'll bounce, I'm not going to take a stop, maybe it'll bounce, and it's just down because of the moving down because of the market, and then you don't take your stop and you just sit there and watch it. And then every time it moves lower, you think, okay, maybe now it's going to bounce, now it's going to bounce, now it's going to bounce. Oh, and then, you know, when it's all the way down here, you think, well, I can't get out now. I was supposed to get out, you know, way up here. Okay. And then who knows? Maybe your whole afternoon is gone and all you've been doing has been nursing this losing play. Okay. So, you know, you find the play doesn't work, you move on, right? And the next play was the rent, right? Did this while on the mic. We went over the setup, went over the stop and the entry. Nice tight 8-cent stop. Okay. And then first targets off the bat pretty quick there. So nice 8-cent stop, just breaking underneath this base here. On a very nice gap down. Here's the gap down today. Gap down. So you can see market gap down as well, but this was clearing support. So I like the better gap that we got here than the market. Okay, so breaks down. And at some point, you know, as I was living through the pullback, the same way, kind of the same approach as the CPRX, and this was rallying back up, this did also come back to break even down a little bit at one point. But I think eventually also the market gave it some help and got it to the bigger target, just closed it here at the end of the day. I actually took it at 303. You can see it's closing here 302 or $3. So even dropped kind of a little bit more just into the end. But so the rent though, overall, not too bad. Yeah, rent pretty nice. I think maxed out a little over 4 Rs there was the max potential move on this. So pretty good follow through there. Now, if I had just been, you know, watching the CPRX, worried about this, constantly checking it, you know, then the higher chance I would have missed this rent. And the rent more than, I think, tripled whatever I lost on the CPRX. The rent made up for. So, you know, it's one of the challenges of trading, and especially day trading, is that sometimes you're going to be wrong, and that's okay, right? It's going to be other trades, and so just keep that in mind. But just to summarize here with the market, like I said, we are overall bearish for tomorrow specifically. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of a bounce, but mostly are range bound. Okay, that's my expectation. Okay, we don't have really anything at this point to look to say, okay, if we did this, we would no longer be bearish and we would turn bullish. A little bit too early for that, I think. All right, but just bearish overall going into tomorrow. But after a big day like today, probably a little bit more range bound. All right, that's going to do it for today's market wrap. Hope you had a nice day. We will be back at it tomorrow, and I will talk to you then.